Are you from Brooklyn? Is your street named after a slave owner? Franklin Avenue, named after Benjamin Franklin. Now, y'all love good old Benjamin Franklin on that $100 bill. He was born in 1706 and died in 1790. During his early life, he advocated for slavery and owned slaves. He also advertised rewards for runaway slaves in his newspaper, the Pennsylvania Gazette. Below is one of those advertisements that states, "To be sold, two likely healthy Negro women, one 20, the other 15 years of age, have both had the smallpox and measles, well acquainted with housework." Gates Avenue, named after Horatio Gates. Horatio Gates was born in England in 1726 and died in 1806. He was an American Revolutionary War general, best known for commanding the Battle of Saratoga. He owned slaves throughout his life, but towards his later years, he freed his slaves at the urging of his friend John Adams and moved to New York. Below, you see it states that he emancipated his slaves upon selling his estate, and the terms of the sale dictated that 5 would be freed after 5 years, and the rest of them had to wait until they were 28 years old. So it wasn't an immediate free all the slaves. Green Avenue, named after Nathaniel Greene. Nathaniel Greene was born in Warwick, Rhode Island in 1742 and died in 1786. He started in the Revolutionary War at the lowest rank possible, a militia private, but he was able to gain the trust and respect of George Washington and become one of his most dependable officers. After this, he was granted land and money in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. He chose to settle in his Georgia estate, where his estate was worked by slaves. Sadly, the entire neighborhood of Fort Greene and Fort Greene Park is also named after this man, which really hits hard for me because that is where I'm born and raised. I lived in Fort Greene from the day I was born until September 2023. So, Hancock Street, named after John Hancock. John Hancock was born in Braintree, Massachusetts in 1737 and he died in 1793. He was the first governor of Massachusetts and the first person to sign the Declaration of Independence. You probably know of him for having the very large signature on the Declaration of Independence, which is pictured below. Although he held an anti-slavery political position, him and his family bought and sold slaves. And while I was doing some research, I found this editorial from a school that was named after John Hancock called John Hancock College Preparatory High School. And it said that their social justice club was arguing that the school name should be changed because the school shouldn't be named after a slave owner. Additionally, below it says that there is a biography of John Hancock that suggests that he did own household slaves along with acres of land, but some research suggests that he never bought the slaves but rather inherited them from his uncle. So some people try to make it seem like John Hancock is less guilty than others, but to me, no, because he could have simply emancipated the slaves as soon as he inherited them. Herkimer Street, named after Nicholas Herkimer. Nicholas Herkimer was born in German Flats, New York in 1728 and died in 1777. He was a militia general in the American Revolutionary War, and he had a house in Little Falls, New York that had a large number of slaves. Jefferson Avenue, named after Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was born in Virginia in 1743 and died in 1826. He was the third president of the United States from 1801 to 1809, and he is very well known for promoting Republican ideals in the U.S. government. While he was outspoken about the immorality of slavery in his political career, he owned many slaves throughout his lifetime. Additionally, in the notes on the state of Virginia to this side of me, he openly expressed his belief that black people were inferior to white people and that there was no way that black people could live in society as free people. Lafayette Avenue, named after Marquis de Lafayette. Marquis de Lafayette was born in France in 1757 and died in 1834. He earned the respect and trust of George Washington after serving in the American Revolutionary War as a general and diplomat without being paid. Lafayette initially owned slaves, but he later became involved in the abolitionist movement. He worked to free slaves in the Caribbean where the slave trade was booming, and he also made a proposal to George Washington that was considered a joint venture for gradual emancipation. So in the research that I did, he was another one that it seemed like people tried to act like was low-key a good person. To me, he's no better than any of the other ones, because look what we see about Lafayette did own slaves, but it was done only for the sake of the experiment, explaining how the goal was to see them free once they had acquired new skills. While Lafayette admitted that his experiment was wild, he would not be deterred. However, Lafayette's plan of gradual freedom for slaves would ultimately not reach fruition. As Shaw explained, many individuals desired the immediate emancipation of slaves, not the slow process that Marquis had in mind. So what makes him a good person? Lefferts Place, named after Peter Lefferts and the Lefferts family. Peter Lefferts was born in Brooklyn in 1753 and died in 1791. He was a delegate to the 1788 New York State Constitutional Convention. He was a descendant of the Lefferts family, which was the biggest slave-owning family in Kings County, also known as Brooklyn. The family's home, the Lefferts homestead, is now located in Prospect Park. So this is the home, and obviously that's Prospect Park over there. The 1800 census recorded 12 enslaved residents and 8 members of the Lefferts family in the household, a testament to the fact that the Lefferts were one of the largest slaveholding families in the county. So that's honestly crazy to think about too, that they have this home still in Prospect Park and all that energy is in there because it is a home that slaves did live in. Now, I didn't want this video to be all negative, so I did do some research to find some people who have streets named after them in Brooklyn who actually opposed slavery and fought against slavery. Claver Place, named after St. Peter Claver. St. Peter Claver was born in 1580 and died in 1654. He was a priest who ministered to African slaves in the New World. He also worked in Colombia, South America to stop the slave trade. He became the patron saint of slaves. The Roman Catholic Church in Brooklyn established St. Peter Claver Parish in the early years of the 20th century, while white and fair-complexioned Hispanics went to Nativity Roman Catholic Church. Black Catholics went to St. Peter Claver just across the street. Tompkins Avenue, named after Daniel Tompkins. Daniel Tompkins was born in Fox Meadows, New York, now known as Scarsdale, in 1744, and he died in 1825. He was the 4th governor of New York, as well as the 6th vice president of the United States. As the New York governor, he was known for supporting school improvements and was largely responsible for the passage of the legislation that outlawed slavery in New York. Sumner Avenue and Sumner Houses, named after Charles Sumner. Charles Sumner was born in Massachusetts in 1811 and he died in 1874. He was a leader of anti-slavery forces in Massachusetts. He was devoted to destroying what he considered the slave power, which was the conspiracy of slave owners to seize control of the federal government and block the progress of liberty. He advocated for civil rights and voting rights for Black people in America. Most Southerners considered him an enemy, and he is even known for suffering a beating on the floor of the U.S. Senate at the hands of a South Carolina senator. Sumner Avenue was later renamed Marcus Garvey Boulevard in 1987, but the Sumner houses below still exist in Brooklyn. For those who don't know, this is Marcus Garvey below me. Marcus Garvey was a Jamaican political activist, so the street name being changed from Sumner to Marcus Garvey was a good change. But I do wonder why they chose to change Sumner rather than change one of the many streets named after pro-slavery people that we just discussed. I think it's very important for us to know our history and to possibly try to get these things changed. I know we have other things to worry about, but these things could also be changed. And if not, it's just important that we know where we come from and what streets we're walking every day, who they're named after, whose name are we saying every day. I do have a longer list of names, so let me know if you guys want a part 2. And if you are already a follower to my channel, I know that this is new for me. I usually do TV reviews, but for those who don't know, I do have a bachelor's degree and I want to start incorporating my educational side into my TikTok. So that would include a lot of New York history and Black history because I am Black and I am from Brooklyn, New York. So please follow for more and be ready to have a mixed bag of topics. I will not only be sticking to reviews, I will be doing history and other things on my channel as well. Trivia, lives. So look forward to seeing you guys there and follow for more.